Hi everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar. I'll just give a couple of minutes for everyone to join and then we can get started. Perfect. So thank you for joining today's webinar. Today's webinar is on the quote to order workflow, the essentials. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Kirsty Morris and I'm a Premier Customer Success Manager here at Prospect as part of the Access Group. I've been at Prospect for 2 years now, looking after sort of top level customers and making sure that their processes run smoothly and assisting with projects, etc. So today's agenda is going to be a little bit about explaining what the quote to order workflow is, setting up the quote to order workflow, getting from a quote to an order faster, increasing the accuracy and the validity of orders, and how we can deliver an enhanced customer ordering experience with the workflow in place. We will finish with a Q&A session at the end, so please ask questions throughout on the Q&A feature or the chat function, and we'll come and answer them at the end of the webinar. So what is a quote to order workflow? I'm going to start by giving you the overall. A quote to order workflow helps you create a repeatable, scalable and profitable sales motion that can help you grow your business and deliver a great customer experience to make staff happier and more productive. The idea behind a quote to order workflow is its multiple elements and bringing it all together to make the process of selling and quoting to your customers a lot easier and a lot easier for your team to follow. So why use it? It allows you to define, implement and test a repeatable process that works, and it works over and over again. You get everyone working in the same way with an enforced consistency and success. So you're basically making sure that everybody in your team is aligned and that customers are getting the same experience over and over again. And the admin tasks are more efficient to help you reduce overhead costs and errors per order. So what I'm going to do is just take you through into a demo. And just for anybody that hasn't joined our demos before or seen a demo of our system, we use the jam making products. So you'll see a lot of references to jam within our system. So first of all, I'm going to take you through the process on setting up the quote to order workflow. And as I mentioned before, there are a few elements that we need to build in order to get the end process looking how we need it to do. So first of all, we're going to start with branding. And by doing that, you need to go to settings, system settings, and then search for branding. This branding here is what your customers will see when they click on the links within the emails that we'll discuss later. So we've done this in the Prospect soft colors. We've given our primary color an accent color, and we've updated a logo. Obviously, this is jam making products. So this is what your customers will see. It's like a landing page where they will put their PO numbers in, etc. At the end of the process. So this is what your customers will see in order to close that loop of the quote to order workflow. So once you've updated this, you'll need to, if you would like to use in future, obviously there's two different types. You can do sales based on account, and you can do sales based on sort of cash accounts or by Stripe payments. So people will directly put in their card details, and we've got an integration to Stripe. So there is an option to set this up. If you type in Stripe, it comes up with the Stripe integration here, and you can connect your account. We will be sending over documents on how to link your Stripe account to Prospect Soft so that you can do this so that it's all set up for the rest of the workflow. The next one is where everything sort of comes together, is where we're creating templates. So we want to be able to create a document template. There are two ways of doing this. You can create an email template. And for the case of this, I have already created these. but we will send you links on how to create email templates and document templates after. But for this example, we're going to use the quote for approval. So we go into, sorry, I'll just go back a couple of steps. The templates here, we go into document templates and click to configure. We've got a quote for approval. So I'll click edit. And this one is an email. So if we go into the edit screen, you can see the standard basic email template. So we've got dear and then the contact. Thank you for your inquiry. This is the quote and it's attached. So basically we're doing this as a template with an attachment document to that template. This is where we start to add in the quote to order buttons. So you can authorize this quotation from this email, and this is where the authorization buttons would go. So if I take this out here, this is where I'm going to input the quote to order buttons. So if you scroll down to the additional data, all the way to the bottom, and you've got the quote to order workflow, approve and decline buttons. You select that, and then that inputs the buttons into here. For some, one advancement that we had for some customers, they didn't like to give people the option to decline unless they were to speak to the salesperson. So instead of giving them approve and decline, we would give them just approve. So the only option they do have is to approve it, or they would contact the salesperson ideally to let them know that they don't want to go ahead with that quote. So as you can see, the authorization buttons are in this email template, and then you can click save. So for this example, we've added a quote document in here, which is added as a PDF, and we've also added those into those buttons into that document, so it attaches onto the email. So as you can see here, so as you can see here, there is an attachment on there, and the buttons will be on this one here. So if I come out of this one, and then we'll go to adding a quote. So I'm going to go into myself, just as an example. So if I was going to go through the process of creating a quote, I'll go into opportunities. I've got a quote to order workflow example set up here. This is a quote, and this is, as you can see here, on the expected payment method, you can select it on account or on Stripe. So this is where it links back to setting up that Stripe integration. If you would like your customers to just add a PO number and it's all going to go onto their account, you leave it as on account. If you would like your customers to use the Stripe payment method, you can select Stripe here. And then when you send the quote to order email, it will then give them the option to input their card details on that email. So from here, I've added the quote, I've added all of the items on here. As you can see, there's jam products, and then you click send. So you can do this one of two ways. You can send the email out of here. The basic email template, from here, sorry, select the template is quote for approval. And then as you can see, the buttons that we added in earlier are at the bottom. So your customers, this is the email that your customers will receive, and it says approve or decline. They also get the quote document that we created earlier, and that will send out to the customer. So then you click send, and for this cases, there'll be one that I've prepared earlier. So if we go over here, this is what it will look like. So I've sent over that email over to the customer. They get this email here, and then they can also click on the link, and this gives you the full quote template that you've got as a PDF attachment, if that's how you would like to send out your quotes. And then you've also got the approve or decline buttons here. So if I click approve, this takes you through to the, this one's based on an account. So I've left this quote on an account, and this takes you through to what the page will look like. So you've got your branding that we spoke about, main color, secondary color, and then your logo at the top. And we also have the order value here. So this gives you the order value, and then it gives your customer the option to put in their PO number and then click approve. So when they click approve, it comes up saying, thank you for approving your quotation, and that fires back straight into the CRM so that it is confirmed as an order. So as you can see, this is a whole workflow. So we're building the quote, we are creating the process internally of how we're going to send that out and what it's going to look like to the customer in terms of the branding and the quote templates. And then we are finishing off by what the customer sees and how easy it is to approve those orders. And that means that that salesperson, bar putting on that quote, doesn't really need to interact with this unless they don't confirm that order. So the idea is to make it as a really smooth process for your team to be able to follow and repeat over and over again to improve the speed in which you're confirming orders. So if I just go back to my Outlook. So if we go into here and we sort of change it, to Stripe, and then we sent it again, it would then come up in a similar situation and go through a different route into the system. Give me 2 seconds. I just need to stop sharing. Sorry about that. Here we go. So this is if I was to send out a email based on Stripe, we would then send it out of here. There is another option that when you're creating the templates, you can pin this to you can pin the actual quote to order workflow email to the menu, which is in these 3 dots here. So straight away, it's one of those quick links that if you know that you want to create a quote for approval, you can then just click right here because you've pinned it to the menu and it generates that straight away. So it generates that email, generates the attachment, all from one click. And then you would send that to the customer. So then what that would look like is like this. So it looks slightly different. Obviously, you've got the approve and decline buttons at the bottom again. If I was to click approve from this one, it then takes you through, because I've selected Stripe payment, it's then taken me through to a different screen where you would then integrate to Stripe. So your customer can easily put in their PO reference if they'd like to, their name, and then their payment details, and they can pay that straight away over the system. Once they click pay, it then automatically does that and transfers it again into the CRM. So you've got 2 ways of using the quote to order workflow. The idea is that, again, all of this process is repeatable. Every quote that gets sent out can follow the same process of the quote to order. It gets sent out with the same template. It gets sent out with the same formatting. So all of your sales team can use the same template in there with those buttons, and it streamlines that process. So just in terms of being notified if a customer doesn't or does place an order, but then there's an issue with that order. So obviously you've sent the quote to order workflow out. The customer has then selected that they would like to go ahead. They've clicked confirm, and then there may be an issue with it. We've got a new feature here. If you go into the P at the top button, or your initials in the top right hand corner, and then go to my profile, and then select notifications. What you would like to what you would probably have a look at here is adding all of your notifications that you want to be made aware of. So if customers haven't contacted you, etc. And also all pending or on hold orders. So if a order is confirmed, but then there is an issue with it, i.e. it doesn't go into your accounting system, etc., you can then turn these on and you'll be notified. So you'll be able to, as an account manager, be able to say, right, I only want to be notified of my customers that have had an issue with their orders, or there is an order pending and it's not quite gone through. These orders will sit in pending or on hold until they are confirmed successfully into the ERP system, or if they are cancelled. So You can select my customers only, and you can say that I want to be notified daily so that you can follow up on them daily. And then you'll be emailed out of the CRM into your Outlook or your email supplier, and then you can get those notifications that way. So in a nutshell, this is the quote to order workflow. And again, this is a little bit more of a difficult thing to do a webinar on, because it is not a specific feature. There's a few features within the CRM that build together this workflow. So you need to have a look at the branding, whether you're going to use credit card payments, the templates that you would like to set up, the quote documents if you'd like to set those up too. And we're going to send you after the webinar a whole array of documentation that you can actually research into to get all of these things set up for yourselves. One area of the CRM that, just to make you all aware of, is the documentation on how-to guide. So in the question mark at the top, if you were to select that and select documentation, for this one example, if you typed in quote to order, there's quite a lot of help guides on how to set this up, obviously taking card payments, which we discussed, adding the quote to order workflow buttons into your emails or your quote templates. But the main one here is the whole quote to order workflow. So this does link back to a webinar on how to optimize your quote to order workflow. This webinar is 2 hours long, so it is very in-depth, and it goes into the different levels of quoting, how you can get the best out of your quotes, etc., all the way through to the end of getting your customers to turn around and use the quote to order workflow buttons and make sure that they're confirming their orders. But if you were to scroll all the way down to the bottom, we do have a new dedicated page to optimizing your quote to order workflow. So this will give you details on the webinar. This webinar will be live on there as well, so you can have a listen back if need be, as well as the older webinar, which is the longer version. And then you've got links to all of the different note sort of documentation that you need. And there is also a step-by-step plan on how to get these running in the way that you need to. So this is obviously goes into building accurate quotes, and all the way through to the end process of turning that quote into an order. So the whole idea behind this quote to order workflow is to generate as many quotes as you can and confirm them into orders and make that process for your customers as frictionless as possible. So if we just go to a Q&A now. If you've got any questions, guys, please add into the chat. Jess will join as well.
Thanks, Kirsty. Yeah, please do put them in the chat, guys. There's the chat function, as Kirsty said, or the Q&A. We'll be taking those now.
So I've just got one question regarding, does the workflow interfere with CMS settings at all? i.e., if I update branding in CMS or select Stripe, does that... So the CMS functions should be completely separate to, so if you've got a plugin on your website, and it's the Stripe payment on your CMS site, for example, that will be separate to the integration that we've got within the CRM. So it shouldn't interfere at all with that. But I'll take your details, Lisa, and I will contact you, and we can just make sure that that is the case. But as far as I'm aware, the CMS payment plugin for Stripe is separate to the CRM.
Yeah. And then we've got another question here, Vivian. Can a purchase order field be made mandatory?
Yes, the order field, the purchase order can be made mandatory. Sometimes we do say that that can cause friction for customers. So if, depending on the process that you need to follow, obviously by all means you can make that mandatory, but a lot of customers may want to just not put anything in there, and you might want to remove that friction point, but it's completely up to you and your processes.
Just while we're waiting for some more questions, guys, we did have a bit of feedback actually from one customer that initially was quite apprehensive to include the decline link or the decline button at first, but that actually provided them with some quite valuable feedback on why people were declining things. So if it was price or something like that, then, you know, they could go back and kind of adjust that for the customer. So, you know, I just mentioned that because that was a customer that kind of was going to omit the decline button, but actually ended up using it and has since found that pretty valuable. So kind of recommended to include that.
Yeah, so there are a few options that you can do. Obviously, we've kept the approve and decline option in there. It is valuable if you want to get feedback because you'll get notified that you can see that they've declined that. The other one obviously is just accept if you just want to give them that accept option. But it's completely up to you. Craig, you don't need to have a CMS site to use the accept or decline buttons. And that was just a question for somebody that does have a CMS site. These approve and decline buttons are there for everybody that has use in the CRM. So everybody that's using the quoting features within the CRM can use the approve and decline buttons. Obviously, most of the accounts will be on account anyway. If you do want to have the Stripe integration, you can. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. But you don't have to have a CMS site to be able to use these approve and decline buttons. They are just on the template emails and documents. We've got another question. I take it that if a client doesn't need anything on the quote, they can just delete it and approve afterwards. No. So this feature is purely there to send the quote as is and approve the quote as is. The customer won't have the ability to delete things off of the quote. That is something that will need to be done within the CRM. So they would need to let the sales team know that they no longer want one item off of that quote. They can remove it and then they can resend that quote email template out without the items that they don't want on there. But that is a really good idea though. So I would use our ideas portal to log that on there and see if we can enhance these features a little bit. And we use Sage Pay, but not Stripe. Is there an option to integrate to Sage? Currently, there isn't an integration to Sage for the quote to order workflow. But again, this is probably a good idea because not everybody uses Stripe. But if you can use Stripe, it's great, or get another subscription to Stripe, it would be good. But because it's already there, but we can log that as an idea for sure. In our customized quoting template, the item box is distorted. Is there a way that we can fix this? Brittany, if the item box is distorted, do you mean the quote to order buttons, or do you mean the item as in the product that you're quoting? If it's the product that you're quoting, it is just a case of adjusting that template. So there are some links on our document helpline or help guides on how to set up the quote templates and the quote tables. So it may just be a case of skewing that table and building that again if it's slightly distorted on that email. Richard, there are currently no other integrations other than Stripe in terms of taking credit card payments. Do you have one? Is it Sage as well, or do you have another type that you use? That would be good to know, so we can provide some feedback to our development team. If there are multiple other people that have got other types of integration, WorldPay, okay. We can have a look at them. As I said, we do have an ideas portal. Let me just share my screen again on Prospect Soft. So if I just show on here, For everybody who's on here that doesn't know that we have an ideas portal, we develop our CRM every 3 weeks. You probably get the big banners at the top to say you've been updated. And this is because we do multiple development changes, whether that is new feature rollouts or whether that is bug fixes, etc. We're doing it every 3 weeks. So currently this one's on release 111. I think we're up to 112 now. But product suggestions is here. So you can go in to make a suggestion. And log an idea for further integrations, basically. So the if we can see that multiple customers can vote on them. So as you can see here, this idea is display quote files in the quote table. That's got 34 votes. So that's something that we would look at to develop quite quickly, because there's multiple people that are using that, and it's kind of like a community of logging loads of different ideas. We do monitor this so that if there's something that you've suggested that we already do, we will let you know we already do it and how to find that information. But we could look at say if I look at payment integration here, yeah, so these are all different types of ideas that people would come up with in terms of integrations. So you can log your idea here. There's one here that's obviously got 45 votes. We will look at investigating that and you'll be notified. So this is where, if there is a feature that's not available yet within the CRM, it's a really good place to start and log that as an idea, and we can go from there. So are there any other questions in terms of the quote to order workflow? If not, obviously we will send over a copy of the link. All of our webinars are on YouTube, so you can see them. I think this is the 6th or 5th in the series. We've got another 2, and we do have a Q&A session that's going to be live with myself and a couple of other members of the customer success team in December, just to run through all of the webinar series that we've gone through and have a big Q&A session for our customers. So if you haven't registered already, please do. And if you don't have any questions, I'll leave it there and let you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. But thank you very much for joining. And I'll reach out to a couple of people that have left questions just to follow up on them.
Great. Thanks, Kirsty, and thanks everyone for joining. Cheers.
Thank you.